Hello everybody, welcome to today's Novedge webinar, Creating and Managing Revisions in Vectorworks. In this session, we're going to look at Vectorworks tools and techniques for highlighting and recording revisions. This webinar follows on from the last webinars, Creating and Managing Drawings in Vectorworks. And if you want, you can find it on our YouTube channel. Just search for Novedge, and there's a whole playlist with all the Vectorworks related webinar and plenty of useful tutorials to look for. Today's webinar presenter, Jonathan Pickup, is trained as an architect in New Zealand and in the UK with more than 30 years of experience. He has been writing and producing Vectorworks manuals and providing customer support for more than 20 years. His company, ArchonCAD, is the premier provider of third-party manuals and training resources for Vectorworks. He offers monthly webinars for Vectorworks and maintains the Visual Knowledgebase for Vectorworks. And let me tell you a little bit about Novedge. Novedge is changing the way designers purchase 3D software, offering more choices, more freedom, best advice, faster service, and most importantly, no headaches. Check us out at novedge.com, where you can find the entire line of Vectorworks products. And last but not least, today's webinar is free and will be recorded and posted as early as this afternoon on our YouTube and Vimeo channels. Just search for Novedge. And now, without further ado, I'm going to switch the screen and let Jonathan tell you all about revisions. Okay, we're transitioning.
Hi, everybody. Just make sure I got my microphone going. So, hi, everybody. So we're going to talk about revisions. Now, revisions are the way you handle revisions can be different from practice to practice. So if I show you something that you really disagree with, I understand. Please don't be annoyed with me. This is the way that I was taught to handle revisions. It might be that we learn a little something. Last time I did this for my subscribers, I had one client who had a completely different concept for handling revisions. But anyway, so I just wanted to show you, this is my Vectorworks, my knowledge base. Last time we did it, we looked at creating and managing drawings. So there's actually a whole series of movies on creating and managing drawings. And today we're looking at revisions. So there's actually just a few very simple steps to dealing with revisions. And then I've created a few movies to cover those. But I've also gone back to creating my monthly manuals. So if you're one of my subscribers and you didn't realize I was doing this again, I've gone back to updating my manuals. I've taken away the dates on them so that they can just stay updated. When something changes, I can just update the manual. The first step, step number one, when we're dealing with our revisions, is really to update the design layer. So let's go back to Vectorworks and we'll have a look at that. So we're going to have a look at this plan here to start with. So we've heard from the client, they don't like the design of my bathroom, or they don't like this door. Actually, why don't we just get rid of that door and pretend that that's the first thing we change. So let's say, for example, there's our plan, and the client says, well, wait a minute, you know, I'd kind of like to have a door to go through here. So step number one is always to update your design layer. So we're going to edit the design layer. We'll get a door. I'm using Vectorworks Architect, Australia, New Zealand, so I've probably got window. I'll try not to use it too much. Just use a standard door. And I put a door in, the client says, yeah, that's fine. But if the drawings have already been issued for construction or they've been issued for building consent, we should really reissue this drawing showing the revised thing. So how do I take care of that? What I normally do when something like this is updated is I will normally edit the annotations. So what I do with my revisions is I often put the revision cloud in the annotations part of the viewport. Why there? Well, because one of the arguments is, well, Jonathan, you've told me before you should put everything that you possibly can on the design layer. True. But if I revise this drawing, this would become revision A, I won't have to revise that drawing because that drawing doesn't show the door, so I don't need to update that drawing. And I don't have to, well, maybe I should, but I probably wouldn't update that drawing. And of course, it wouldn't update other drawings either. So why should I put the revision on the design layer? Because then it will turn up on every drawing. I'll lose this sort of fine control of that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to edit my annotations. Now, I don't know if you've noticed that it's very quick for me to get into the annotations. One of the tricks I use is to change the edit options here. And I've changed my double click to edit the annotations. Now, I don't always edit the annotations. Sometimes what I do is I change it to edit the design layer if that's what I think I'm doing a lot of. But I do edit this dialog box. So the beauty is that you double click. I'm now into the annotations, and now I can put my revision cloud. If we scroll down here, where is it? Dims and notes. So normally you'll find under dims and notes, you'll find your revision cloud. When I'm working on construction documents, I do revisions a lot. So what I did was I moved my revisions to my basic tool set because I do them a lot. As you might notice, there's actually a couple of strange things here. There's things like the section marker, the revision cloud, the tape measure, even the 3D extract tool I use a lot. So I've added it to my basic tool set, so it's always there. So I'm going to put a revision cloud. Let's go to our options here, make sure we've got extra small, medium, medium, and we put our revision cloud in, and there it is. Extra small is a little bit too small for me. Let's make that just small. And that's got the graphic style that I want. Is that exactly the way we want? Well, maybe. So how are we going to label that? What we tend to do is we tend to use a revision marker. Now, if you're using a previous version of Vectorworks, you'll find in the Dims and Note toolset, you'll actually find a marker tool that you can use to mark those revisions. That's now been replaced by this one here, the data tag tool. Get the data tag tool, we choose which one we want. So if we have a look down here, we've got revision markers. There's my revision marker triangle. Let's use that one. And I'm going to replace my current symbol. So then I put my revision marker in, and it calls that number 1. So I don't call them by revision 1. I tend to use letters, A, B, C, that kind of thing. So how would I handle this? Because later on, I know the client's going to ask me to change this bathroom. So this will be revision 1, this will be revision 2. So what happens when I go to a different place and I use that revision marker again? So let's say, for example, we've got a somewhere else floor framing or something like that. And if we go back to the site plan, that door does show up in the site plan. So let's go in here and let's highlight that as well. So we put our cloud around there and we put our marker on there, and that's number 2, but it's actually number 1 for this sheet. So I don't like the way this revision marker is working because I don't always want to have the numbers sequential like that. So what am I going to do? I'm going to make some changes to that tool. So this is my marker, and I'm going to change it completely. So one of the great things about the data tag is that you can make the data tag do all kinds of things. So you can link the data tag to information attached to an object. You can get it to read something about the object. We can do all kinds of things with it. So I'm going to go through how to edit that. Module 6, we're looking for my data tag tool, and we should actually find my data tag tool here in my data tag styles. And it should be this one here. Right click, and let's edit this one. So just before I start editing, there don't appear to be any questions. Cool. Okay, so let's edit this. And I'm going to edit my tag layout. Now I did say that this is a really powerful technique, the data tag, and I can make choices about what we're seeing. This object here, okay, so I've got the text on my object info palette. We're going to have a look at the defining the tag field. So when we define the tag field, we want to know what this object is looking for. So what's it doing? It's a calculated field and it's an incrementing value, which means it's always going to change its number, which is not really what I want. So let's get rid of all of that. I'm going to change this to something else. So there are lots of choices here. We could use object parameters. Now this is an object parameter. Let's have a look for the object type. I don't think revision cloud is here. It's not that kind of object. But you can see you could actually pick up information about an object and report some of that information. So that's not going to work. A record format, well, there's no record format attached to my revision cloud, so I couldn't really use that. But you can see it will find all sorts of records. It's not an IFC entity. Is it an object function? And the object function is the one that I'm going to choose. So I could choose surface area, area of an object, the symbol name. I mean, some of these are really cool for if you wanted to build your Vectorworks library and name all your symbols, you could use this. It would be really cool. I actually want to use class. Now the trick here, and things I always forget this, is that you have to click on this button. And so often I spend time looking for this, and then I forget to click on the button, and then my tag doesn't work. Okay, so there's my tag. And okay to that. So now I've got this and that one. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to assign those to a revision. So I'm going to type rev in here. And you can see I've got a series of classes for my revisions. So this is revision A, and we're going to right click and assign to selection. So you'll now notice that my revision tag is now changed to revision A. And that means that it's going to appear as revision A, and I need to get rid of, I thought I'd gotten rid of it here, but I'll fix that in a second. So that's now connected to that part, which is quite cool. So why am I putting my revisions in here? Let me just explain why I'm doing that. So if I go and then create a revision B, I can assign that to revision B, and I can have another revision here. This could be revision C, and so on. So each of these tags or each of these clouds is an individual class in this annotations part of my viewport. That gives me the flexibility in this drawing alone to choose which revisions I want to see. So let's have a look. We can turn them all on. Or you might say, no, revision A is now old and I don't want to see it. Let's hide that. And I can turn that cloud off. Revision B, we don't need to see. We can turn that one off. And you can see it makes it easier for the contractor to find the latest revisions because you have gone through and you can make the cloud appear that you want. If we put this on a design layer, we would then have revision A on every design layer. And in other sheets where we haven't revised them yet, we would have to make those revision A even though there was no changes to that document. So the way that I was taught was that if there's a change on this document, it becomes revision A. And if there's no change on this document, then it doesn't. And that's the way that I was taught. So let's go OK, and I'll get rid of those clouds because I don't want them. So step number one, we change the design layer. We add the door, we change the bathroom, and so on. Step B is we add the revision to each drawing. So that can be laborious because if we change, for example, a window, I've got to go around and change all of my windows on all my elevations. So it could take some time to manage. Yeah, I don't know if anyone's got a better way of doing it than that, but I do know that the way I was taught was we have to make sure that the clouds are highlighted. Now, I treat revisions as once I've issued these drawings for building consent, any changes have to be revised. If I've issued them to the contractor, any changes I make after that have to have revisions on them. Let's go through and we'll have a look at, I thought I'd gotten rid of all my revisions. I can see that there's a whole lot of revisions. They've all been revised to revision A for comment. I'm just having a look here. So someone's added revision A to all of these, which means that this one here should be revision B. So if I select those, and I assign those to revision B. You can see they pick up that new name. And that's the trick that I use, is I use the class name to actually write on my tag what that revision is. So let's go back and have a look. So we've done step number 1, we've done step number 2. Now we need to look at step number 3, which is to update our title blocks. We need to know which drawings this door appears on. So we do need to look through the drawings and see whether we need to look at any different drawings. So it doesn't appear on that one. We'll highlight it on here as well. So let's enter our annotations, put my revision cloud on. This time I need to make it extra small and put my tag. So I select both of those, assign those to revision B. Nearly got the wrong one. And there we are. So I've got 2 drawings I need to add a revision to, 001 and 003. So how are we going to add our revisions to our title blocks? So first of all, my title block is a standard Vectorworks title block where I have edited the logo and I've added my own logo to it. Oh, a couple of people are asking, how do you switch fast between pages? Good question. So the drawings are layers. We're all happy with that concept, aren't we? The drawings are layers, and I can go here and I can change between drawings. If you hold down the control key on a Windows machine or the command key on a Macintosh, you can use your up-down arrows to quickly jump between pages. It's really fast. It's just built into Vectorworks, and it's a trick that I use a lot. Does that answer, James? Does that answer your question? I think it does. Cool. I'm just having a look at the questions. So now we know which drawings 001, 003. So let's go and go to our title block manager. So here's our title block manager. We're going to have a look. So the title block manager has been revised recently. And so I found that the trick with this is to use the select sheets. So if we wanted to change all of the revisions, we can go check all. I don't want to make any changes to that one. So I've checked all of those drawings. If I then go and have a look, so we've checked all of the drawings, go OK, and let's have a look at revision data. You'll notice that none of these have got revision data on them at the moment. I thought they had revision A. Oh, those are issues. Sorry, it's revision. I got confused. So none of these have revisions at the moment. So I'm going to select which sheets to use, and we're going to uncheck all, and we're going to go site plan and floor plan. So just 1 and 3 need that revision. Let's click OK. Now I can add a revision. So I got confused because I saw that was A down the bottom here, but that's an issue. So revision notes, I've got no revisions, and I want my revisions to come down the sheet. So here, make sure that your revisions are going in the right direction for each drawing. I've got some drawings where they go up and some where they go down. Make sure you keep track of which ones you've got. So be careful, these ones will all come down. Let's have a look here at down the sheet. Yeah, so let's add a revision. So it's revision date. So Barbara made me add this. Oh, actually, I'll just put my details in. So I did it, and the description is new door added to garage. Garage, if you prefer. So that will only apply those revisions to those drawings. You can see it's just appeared here. New door added to garage. Let's go back to that one. There's no revision there. And there's a revision here, new door added to garage. So that's revision A. I've got these wrong, so I need to enter here, select both those and apply revision A to those. And let's go back to 03 and we'll change that as well. The other way I like to put both these on the same class, so that way I can turn them both off at the same time. So now they're revision A. So there's a couple of questions, Barbara. Let's have a look at those.
Sure.
Do you keep a record of various project iterations with PDFs? Absolutely. So every time I issue the drawings, who said that? James. James, every time I issue the drawings, I keep a set. I name it and I number it, and it's got today's date on it. And I, particularly for building consent, so it's got where I live. Every time the council wants more information, they send an RFI. They're numbered RFI 1, 2, 3. I'll answer all those questions, put all my clouds on, and I'll say that PDF is RFI 1. I'll then get another set. I'll make all the corrections. That'll be RFI 2, and so on. It can be a little bit confusing when the projects get really big, James, because I worked on a project in London where we started on site. We had so many revisions to the council. By the time we started on site, we started with revision AA. By the time I finished that project, I can't remember exactly, but I think we might have been up to revision D something, you know, DR or something like that. We went through a lot of revisions on that project. And so it can be difficult to keep track of all of them. But what I would tend to do is I would tend to issue the complete set of drawings again instead of just issuing 1 or 2 drawings. So it would be today's date, and it would be all the revisions that were done today. And I would keep that as a set. Maybe I can show you that. So let's do a publish. Now I'm going to do a keyboard shortcut, which is Control P. I hope everyone knows Control P is print, except for me. I don't know if anyone's thought that they do a lot of publishing instead of printing. So print is normally Control P. I've changed it to publish. I hardly ever print drawings. If I do print them, I print them from the PDF files. James, most of the time I do it, it's publishing. Let me just check. Is my sound all right, Barbara? Someone's complaining they've got sound issues.
The sound is on, and I hear you just fine, and I think it's a local issue.
All right. Oh, that's good. Okay, so I'll carry on. So James, how about if I create a PDF set and we'll have a look. So James, I don't know if you do it the same as I do, where there's a lot of publishing rather than a lot of printing, using creating lots of PDFs. So I've changed my Control P. This month we also, my subscriber group, we also looked at how to customize your workspace. That's how I got these in where I want them, and I've changed some keyboard shortcuts to suit me. Beth, I don't know if you were there for the customizing one, and you hear that I'm lazy with lots of things, so I moved keyboard shortcuts to make them really quick and really easy. One of the ones that got me, Neil, was this one here. I use move by points a lot, and the keyboard shortcut for that I think is Shift and the M key, and my fingers just aren't wide enough to do that quickly. So I changed it to Shift and Z or Shift and Z, because the two are next to each other and I don't have to move my fingers too much. So James, I hardly ever print, so I just changed it to Control P. Brings up my publish dialog box, and you've got Shift plus Option plus Command. Yeah, you could do, but just make it quick and easy. So I'm going to publish all of these. Let's not publish the rendered view, and we'll issue those, and I'll put them on my desktop somewhere. So desktop, I'll just find somewhere to put those. I'm going to make a new folder, webinar. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to date it. So what would we do? So this is module 6. So this should really have the sort of the job number. Usually it has the client's name. And then I put the date in. So today's the 20th, it's 04 and it's 02. I know you guys are all in, it's 1st of April. I was planning on, I had thought it'd be funny to do a April Fool's joke, but the way the world is at the moment, we just don't seem to have the same sense of humour, so I just thought I wouldn't bother. But that's today's date. And so James, carrying on with this, I would then go Rev A. So I knew it is revision A. So now the client comes back to us and they don't like this bathroom, they want me to change it all around. So we're going to do that. So first of all, we're waiting for Vectorworks to process all those drawings. I think it's processing the sections. We used to get a little dialog box or at least something down here to tell us, but I can't see my PDF open yet, so it's obviously still processing. Let me just have a look at what's going on. So I'm just going to get rid of some of these questions. Do you keep a record? Yes. There was one question here. In order to be in the Burn workflow, it's advisable to use drawing names. Yeah, I certainly, if there's a British standard or something that you should use for drawing naming conventions, then fine, do that. So yeah, as I said at the beginning, some of the things I do are personal to my philosophy of drawings. They're things that work with my clients and things that my clients have required me to use over the years. Barbara, I think it's still making the drawings.
Yeah.
I forgot that I had some, I thought I turned off, the cover page has got 3D views. Now, one of the things that I do find a little frustrating is that once you say process, you can't interrupt it. Neil, can you interrupt it once it starts publishing? There we are, cancel. Right, so I could have done that, but I've cancelled it. So the cancel button was it the cancel was command full stop or command period? Neil, is that what you used to? Cool. Someone else has already answered that. Thanks, Gary. I don't use it very often, so let's go back to changing this bathroom. So we've had instructions from the client. Let's go back. We'll change this bathroom, and they want to move this around. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the location of my bathroom things. There's also a wall there. So what I'm going to do is to mirror that. Can I get the mirror between there and there? I don't know whether I'm going to get it spot on, but it's pretty close. So I need to change my plumbing and drainage, so that needs to change there. Should really change that location. That one goes to the toilet. This one's my floor waste gully needs to move out here. So that goes there, there. Let's go to my floor waste gully as well. And that one, and that one's going to tie into that pipe. So, okay, so I've rearranged that. Oh, goodness me, I now need to move the door, get the door out of the way. And I might need to flip the door as well. Oh, it's ugly. That's better. So we've got the door out of the way. We've got the window. So we move the window as well. So all of that needs changing. So we go back to our viewport, go back into here. So we need to show that we've changed a whole lot of those bits and pieces. So here we're going to change this. I'm going to add my data tag. And my data tags can go here, and I'm going to put those on the class revision B, because on this drawing, that's revision B. Let's have a look at, but on this drawing, it's revision A. So let's go in here and we'll put our bubble on again. And that's revision A, and my data tag. Now, another trick with the data tag you can do is you can grab that blue dot and you can drag that blue dot to my revision cloud, and it will say revision A. The problem with that is that the data tag here is still on my none class, which means that when I turn off revision A, that data tag will still be there. So what I really have to do is to assign that to my selection. Plumbing and drainage plan. Here, again, I need to put my revision cloud. So let's edit my annotations and put my revision cloud around here. And I say I want to do that extra small. And my data tag. So you can use that little blue dot on the data tag, but since I can just assign it to the class, it'll pick up the class anyway. So I've got revision B, and I've got revision B. But I also need to look at my elevations. Here's my elevations. One of these elevations, this one, I think. This window's updated. So let's go to right-click, edit annotations, and this window's updated. So back to my revision cloud, put my bubble around there, and extra small on that one, and the data tag. And those on this drawing should be revision A. So now I've got drawing 16 to update. So I need to keep track of these. 16, 3, 2, 1. So now I need to go back to my title block manager, and let's select my sheets. So it was 1, 2, 3, and 16. So 16 is moving the window, but 1, 2, and 3 are moving, rearranging the bathroom. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do those 3 first. And we're going to add a revision, and by me, and the description is bathroom 1 amended. Cool. And then I should be able to select which sheets to use. Sheet number 16. And I'm going to add a revision to sheet number 16. And this is window relocated. So when that finishes, we should have revision B, bathroom 1 amended, bathroom 1 amended, bathroom 1 amended, and you notice that it's keeping track of whether it's revision B on this sheet and revision A on the other one. I see there's some questions, Barbara. We'll have to go back and have a look at those. And sections. 16, so that's picked up revision A as well. Let's just have a look at our questions. Someone's asked, do I send revised sheets via email? Do you reduce the published file size down so something can be emailed? It depends on the project. So Dennis has asked this question, do I send them via email? So what I don't, you've got to be careful, I think, Dennis, not to send just the revised sheets, but to send the complete list. And the reason I say send the complete list is because on the cover sheet, I have this drawing here, this list here. Let's recalculate. You might notice that this drawing list keeps track of all of my drawings and what their revisions are. So if you're going to send out just partial drawings, you're only going to send out a couple, then I'd make sure that you at least send that cover sheet. I send the complete set. If you guys are using something like Bluebeam, then it's actually easier to send the entire sheet or the entire set rather than trying to tell someone, take page 1 out of the PDF and substitute my page 1A. It's easier to send them the complete set. But if it's a large file, if the file becomes too large, I don't email the PDF. I'll email a link to my Dropbox. I use Dropbox for storing all my information. So I'd send you a Dropbox link, and then they could download it when they wanted to. I recently had a set of PDFs which had some really nice rendered images on them. When I went to email them last night, they were 21 megabytes, and the movie itself that I did for the walkthrough was 400 megabytes, so I can't email those. And you can't make a movie small enough to email, so I send a Dropbox link instead. I do have an email, Mail Butler, I think I've used in the past. Mail Butler will automatically generate an email. It only works on a Macintosh. But Mail Butler, if you drop a large file in it, Mail Butler will automatically generate a link for that so that when the client gets it, they can click on it and download it, which can be quite handy. What was the key I used to interrupt the print command? It was command plus period, or command plus full stop, I call it. You can also, on a Windows machine, it's control plus period or control plus full stop. So I can get rid of that question. Will begin a recorded version? Yes, there will be recorded version. Could you not have the cloud in the design layer and use the same technique to turn classes on or off? This way you wouldn't have to put the tag in various viewports. So let me answer that again. I think I've just lost all the questions, Barbara. Hold on. So let's go back to that. So in this part, revision A is the cloud around the door. Where's my questions? There. So who was I asking? Oh, James. So I could have the class around the door, and that would be revision A in that drawing. And I could put the cloud around that bathroom, that would be revision B in that drawing. But I want that cloud to appear as revision B, sorry, as revision A in this drawing, and I don't want to see the door. And I'm not sure if there's a better way of doing it than that. So James, do you think that if I put it in the design layer, could I still turn off revision A here and make this revision B appear as revision A? What's the next one? So that what some people have suggested is that it's easier to keep track of all of because it can be difficult to keep track of the drawings. In fact, you don't have to. Yeah, you don't really have to keep track of the drawings because the revision is shown up here anyway. And so what some people are saying is, if you revise these drawings, if you revise some part of it, every drawing becomes revision A. So Hannes, if you want to try that, that's fine. It's just not the way that I was taught. And I've worked on projects that have had thousands of pages. And each page is treated as a, I don't have to mentally keep track of the revision because it actually says here, and I've got these clouds. So I usually leave the clouds turned on. So I don't have to think about whether this is revision A or revision B. It's whatever the next one is in the list. But I think that there's a real danger. To me, it sounds weird, and it might be just the way I was taught, but to me, it would be weird that this is that revision A on this drawing is adding a door to a garage when you can't see it, or that a revision on a section is revision B because we've relocated the bathroom, but it doesn't show on that section drawing. And so to me, it's just not the way I taught. But I'm more than happy if that works for you, then you can use design layers to do that. But James, if we can come back to elevations. So James, can I add that to my design layer? Would be one of my questions. And I just find that it's easier to put them in the viewport. I know it sounds like it takes more thought, but actually I find this doesn't take much thought at all to put them in the annotations. It says up here what my revision is, so I find it reasonably straightforward. So I can get rid of that question. Oh, I just deleted a question. Can I get a question back? Oh, there was a question there. I just deleted it by accident. I clicked on the wrong one. I don't know, Barbara, if you can get them back once I click on the trash can.
I
probably haven't. So
think so.
Someone asked a recent question that started off, isn't it weird? And I accidentally deleted it. So if you could retype that, please, for me.
Okay. Isn't it weird? Isn't it weird that many people don't understand the annotations layers?
Yeah, I think I use it a lot. I think it's perfect for this type of situation. And that's the way I use it, and that's the way I'm teaching people. It works really well for me. It's worked on lots and lots of projects. But if you guys think that there's a better way, let me know. Automatic revisions, I wouldn't trust automatic revisions. But that's another question. So let's just go through my manual and make sure I've gone through it all. So update the design layer, annotate the revisions, update the title block. I think I've covered it all, Barbara. We're record time. We've got 15 minutes for Q&A if you like. Oh, sorry, by the way, if you're not a subscriber, I really recommend that you subscribe to my knowledge base. You will get all my movies, plus you'll get the manuals that I write. But if you don't want to subscribe, I'm more than happy for you to look through these. Something that maybe not a lot of people know is that I've put my 2017 courses online here for free. If you want to look at what my 2017 fundamentals course was like, by all means, go and have a look at that. If you look at the playlist, you'll find that it's just got all the movies are there. The call out tool, design selecting, just the entire lot. I've added the fundamentals, a concept modeling course, my Architect Asia course. There's just a lot of Vectorworks exercise or Vectorworks movies anyway. There's a getting started with Vectorworks. This playlist is quite popular. Let me just show you the playlist. Start with number 1, part 1, and it builds the building, builds this house without using any walls, doesn't use windows. It's like SketchUp, and it's just a really quick way to model a building. So there's a few of those, and then people ask questions, so I made one on working planes. And if you want to see how to draw a small building, then there's a nice little movie on how to do what we call in New Zealand a non-consent building. It's a building that doesn't require building consent, but there are limitations. And it just goes through all the stages of building a small model using walls, windows, doors, the framing member to build your floor framing, and then how to turn all that model into a drawing. So it can be quite a handy little movie. So don't forget that those movies are available if you want. Neil, I don't know if you noticed, but I've also got a whole bunch of scooter movies. You might not want to watch me zoom around the country. I went down one highway called the Forgotten World Highway. What a great name for a highway. But that's about it, Barbara.
Sounds
Let me just
good.
have a look through these. Does the data tag work in 2019? I'm pretty sure it does. Neil, the data tag's there in 2019?
Yes.
Yeah, I thought so. Yeah, so James, you can use the data tag in 2019. It works really well, and it is really editable. Let's have a look here. This is an elevation. These might be windows. And the data tag, let's go back to my data tag. I don't know if you guys noticed, but I had another data tag in here called my window. And what should happen is, so James, can you see that data tag? It's found the window. Just be careful, it can find more than one window sometimes. So if I go back to those windows and change their numbers, that tag should update. So if we go back to my plan, let's do multiple view panes. So I've hit the letter M for multiple view panes. Floor 2, it should be these windows here. So I'm going to change the number of this window. Where do I change the ID tag? This is window, isn't it? No, it's a window. Okay, so I can make that window number 20. So James, did you see it change on both the plane and the elevation at the same time? So I know that traditionally we would say things like, well, you've got to put all your information in the design layer if you want it to be updated or want it to be live. But actually, these data tags are really fun, really cool. They actually look through the design from the viewport. They look at the original information on the design layer, update the design layer information. So this is now 21, and the data tags update. They are really cool. So yes, James, I've answered that one. The data tag. The way that I set up, someone asked, how do I get rid of the data tag? I've got revision A, B, C. They want to get rid of the rev in the data tag. I cheated. I used a class called rev ABC. I don't know if anyone noticed that. So rev was actually the first part of the class. I was willing to put up with that, but if you wanted to change it to ABC, I'm using a class. You could create a record format and use it that way. I was too lazy to do that, and the class seemed like an easy way to do it. I hope that answers that question. Curious about the sheet report you had on your cover page. What would you like to know about the sheet report, Chris? You'll need to type me a question. James, I reckon go to 2020. It's nice. You should keep your Vectorworks up to date. Get rid of James's question. Can use the data tag in Landmark? Absolutely. And Dermot, if you're using the data tag in Landmark, you can actually report information about plants. So you could report the plant name. You can actually, the data tag, you can actually, I recommend for your in Landmark, instead of putting your plant tags on your plants, I recommend you use the data tag to tag the plants in the annotations part of the viewport. Because if you put your tag, I think I've got a file we can use for this, module 6. If we use the tag on the plants themselves, then when you go to a design layer and you turn the tag on, the tag, where's my tag? Tag is right. I got the class turned off properly. Plant tags. So you can see the problem I've got here, Dermot, that the tag is on my plants. I've got these Pohutukawa trees. So the tag is on my plant, and it's rotated. what if I want that at a straight angle? Okay, so that's fine. So it's now at a straight angle. But what happens when I go to and I create different, for example, I create an overall site plan. Now my tag is actually outside my crop area. But if I go in here and I tag my plants with the data tag tool, I don't think I've got one in this file, have I? No, so let's look for plant. Data tag, plant. I can choose one of these ones that's already made. Select that one. And then what I can do is I can put my tag and I can connect it to that. So you can see I can locate this tag anywhere I like in this viewport alone, and I don't have to worry about it being in conflict with other things. And also the size is consistent. So if I like it there, and then I go to another drawing where it might be a different scale. I don't know if I've got one at different, here's one at a different scale. So let's put the data tag in there as well. And you can see that I've got this ability, even if I have a rotated view, I can just put the tag in there. Now what happens if I change that plant, or if I change the number of them, or I change the information? They'll all update. Let's go to this one, and let's change the number of those. Path. So let's add a point. So I've got 4. So Dermot, did my tag automatically update? It did. It's really cool. Let's have I always think of my sheets. Let's have a look. So yes, I always think of the sheets as my product, what I'm creating there, if it makes sense to tailor the annotations to each sheet. That's the way that I was taught way back when we were still drawing in ink, believe it or not. The difference between a revision and an issue, that's a weird one, the difference between a revision and an issue. I've only ever used revisions. I don't very often use issues. The real projects that I'm working on, this isn't one of my real projects, but I have real projects, and my real projects don't use issues, they just use revisions. And if I update or revise a drawing, I issue it, I just give it out to people. So I'm not that keen on using those issue parts, but that was a standard Vectorworks one. Is the data tag, how do you get revision? I think I've answered that one. Someone's asking me how they get notice about my monthly sessions. You need to log in. I'll show you. Send me an email directly, Dennis, and I'll answer you directly. So Dermot, I think I've answered your question. Chris wants to know how I generated this drawing list. Isn't this a standard one? I think if I go reports, create report, and I think there's a pre-formatted report that I can use, which was a drawing list. So I can't remember, is this a standard, Neil, or is that a special? It's not a special New Zealand one, surely. And I place the report on the drawing and it sticks it on there. You can make your own. So what happens with these reports is they look for certain information. So let's edit my criteria or edit the report. So this is designed to look up a title block. It looks for these columns. We can put all kinds of things. We've got here the current revision number, the sheet title, the sheet number. What else do we want? Some people like to have the scale. I don't put the scale on here, but some people like the scale. Sheet angle. I don't know where the scale is. Sheet scale, not scale factor. But that's all I really need is just those things. They're really editable. You can change the graphic style of these. You can make these wider or shorter. But I'm pretty sure I just use the standard one. Yeah, I thought it was a standard one, Neil. Yeah, I just used the standard one. It's a pre-formatted report, and I just used it as a pre-formatted report. don't seem to be able to close that at the moment, so I just have to get out of the way. And oh, now I can't close it. No, there it is. I can't get rid of that, Neil. It's weird. Can't get rid of that drawing list. What else have we got? Yeah, it's a standard report. So Dermot, I hope that answered your question.
Cool.
Can you show how you did the list of all layers in the first sheet and the last sheet where you had another list? What was that list? I can't remember which one I showed you. We're not talking about this, are we? Hannes, I don't know which. I got the list on the first sheet and the last sheet. I don't know what you mean by the last sheet. That's just a standard window schedule with images, it says, but I got rid of the images. Elevations. I think I've covered everything, Barbara.
I think you did, and yeah, what a great tips. Awesome.
So someone asked, if you put your window tag in the annotations, does that mean you do not use the ID tag in the window object? Absolutely, because it's never in the right place. You've always got to move them around. I just stick them I stick them in here so that I can move them where I want. And that's one of the great things about the data tag tool, is that you can actually be a lot more flexible about the location of things. I'm not sure I've got it on this file, but one of the things I have to create is a drawing that shows all my lintel sizes, and I assign the lintel size to the window as information, and then I get my window tag to report that, so that if I ever update my window and change the lintel size, the data tag will update. And then I've got different on my data tag on my plans. I actually put different. I put my text in different classes, so that my window tag has different classes in it. So on some drawings, I just want to see the window number. On other drawings, I want to see the window number plus the lintel size. But I don't want to see it on every drawing, so I have tags where I can turn it on or off.
Jonathan,
See you later, Neil.
Jonathan, do you want to talk?
Data tags.
Do you want to talk to us a little bit about your website and your YouTube channel, most of all?
Didn't I mention those already?
Yeah. Just a quick reminder. Yep.
All right, so it's Jonathan Pickup on YouTube. This was when I was at the Design Summit. So just have a look at my YouTube, look at my playlists. There's these free Vectorworks. There's about a couple of hundred movies, I think, here. But have a look through these courses where you can actually learn about, you can learn 2017 Vectorworks. Yeah, slightly old, but actually a lot of things that I've covered in that movie are still appropriate, you know, using windows, doors, stories, all that kind of stuff.
The basics, people. Just need
so
to
it's
get
got
your
the basics for free. You're working, you know, if you're like me and you're locked down and you can't get out and about, here's a perfect opportunity to start learning how to make Vectorworks better. It's time. I mean, this is a great opportunity for people to improve what they're doing, improve their knowledge if you can't work at home. And if you are working at home, I think you should talk to Barbara and say that what you'd really like is a 1 hour question and answer, and I'm happy to come here and do a 1 hour Q&A.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's, you know, raise your hand.
Let's get that going now. I'm locked down for the next 3 weeks, at least.
Let's take this quarantine as, you know, as an opportunity. Let's not be, you know, constrained, and let's make something out of this. Okay.
Yeah, let's have much fun with this as we can.
Agreed. All right, Jonathan.
Someone asked if there's more information about the data tag on my website. So if we go back to my website and we search for data tag, I made a whole thing about, I made a whole knowledge base about the data tag, how it works, how to edit it, how to create your own. So yeah, there's a further explanation, David.
Cool.
Yeah. Stay safe is what we're saying these days, isn't it? It's no longer God bless, it's stay safe.
Stay safe,
Yeah.
stay home.
I've got, and remember that your keyboard is one of the dirtiest things that you touch in your day.
Oh yeah. Have
Next
you
to your
seen
mouse.
my keyboard? Oh boy.
Thank you for coming, everybody.
Thank you. I'm going to switch the screen quickly just to show everybody where what the Novedge page looks like. And oh, for some reason I'm not allowed. Something happened. All right. All right. Well, I'm just urging everybody. There it is. It took a while, but here's what the Novedge product page looks like where you're looking when you're looking for Vectorworks, and we have the latest and updated products, Vectorworks and Vectorworks companions. Novedge is the one-stop shop where you can find everything you need in one place. And I'm recording this webinar so you can find it again on YouTube. Just search for Novedge. Thanks again for joining us today, and thank you so much, Jonathan, for a very entertaining hour together.
Oh,
Bye
you're
bye,
welcome. Thank you
everybody.
for having me, Barbara. It's always fun to do these with you.
Thank you. Bye bye, everybody. Stay safe.
Bye.